welcome to the Moving into Soft Skills podcast. Moving into Soft Skills is a project that gathers a team of practitioners in the fields of somatics, dance, and education. And they have been exploring and sharing how different body and movement practices can help us to develop soft skills. You can find more about the work of Moving into Soft Skills team on the website movingintosoftskills.com, where there are already several resources shared, which have been made for facilitators, for trainers, and anyone interested can use them free of charge. All of that thanks to Erasmus Plus program. But of course, there are many more topics that are not covered in these published resources. And that's why there is this podcast. It was created to give you some more insights into somatic learning and teaching. My name is Inese Minšī. I'm one of the most team members, and I'm also working as a facilitator in non-formal education. And today I'm together with Inese Ločmele. She is body-oriented psychotherapist, somatics and green bag method practitioner in Latvia. And also here is Elina Ikonen, head teacher of Eastern Finland Sports Institute Education in Dance and Somatic program. Elina is also a dance movement therapist and Trager practitioner. And today we are going to speak about charisma. What is it? Can you get it if you think that you don't have it? And how important it is in the work of a facilitator. So, Inese, Elina, I would like to ask you if you can give us a little bit of background story. How did you both met, and how comes that charisma is interesting topic for you?
We met at ISLO. Inese suggested that she could join the program as an assistant, and I said, yes, welcome. Actually, we had met in one festival before, but didn't really know each other yet.
Can you tell in a few words what is this program about, the ISLO one?
It is about using somatic and dance methods in any field. Students are coming from different fields of professionals, and it's their study path. They created their own study path. How do they use somatics and embodiment in their own work?
And I know that Inese was a student of Elina, and after this course in Finland, she created like a program which was about identity, charisma, and
somatics.
And somatics, yeah. So Inese, how did you get this idea, and why this topic?
Well, the idea was at the end of all the course, each of us prepared a portfolio. So this was my portfolio. As I came to ISLO studies and assistantship, more like to integrate all of my knowledge, and I did it. It was a fantastic place where to do it. And so I was so much inspired with all this course that was kind of 9 months long. Is it so, Elina? Yeah. And I wanted the same in Latvia, and I realized now 9 months, not in Latvia circumstances. But then I realized, okay, there's some shape, some format of how I could give the circumstances for people to learn through somatics, to learn about themselves, and get closer to their own charisma.
So why charisma was the one of those many possible topics that attracted your interest?
Well, it's like a result of many good things together. I think that's the answer. Elina?
Yeah, I want to ask both of you how do you define what is charisma, because the term is used a lot and it's believed to be very important, but what is it? How do
Before
you
that, may I say that I'm interested in charisma because I know that Inese has been so interested in charisma, and I have been waiting an opportunity to ask her why. And I want to correct that, yeah, she was a student at ISLO, but she was a professional of many things when she was there. And she also gave a workshop in which I was a student of hers. So it's a collegial relationship. Charisma is interesting other ways too, but I'm a people person. I'm getting interested in people, maybe because of charisma or some other things, and that's why Inese led me to this place where I can talk with her about charisma.
So why charisma? Like poetically, I would say this is the way how the person really blossoms. And I am one of those who believes that charisma is in each person. You can hide it, you can forget about it, and you can really open up it. I can, of course, share some qualities that I believe that's a part of charisma, but maybe Elina says something and then we continue.
Yeah, I was checking charisma from Wikipedia, and there was lots of definitions, but what was more interesting, I asked from students, family, friends, people, and it seemed to be that there is lots of there are many opinions what it is about, and this is interesting and again different, that everybody has it, what you say, Inese, there. And most people seem to connect to certain kind of presence and appealing in a way that the person with his, her, they presence are being noticed immediately when they are stepping to the room, or they catch attention somehow easy. It's easy to follow, or it's easy to fall in love, or it's easy to recognize something special in that. Many people seem to connect to some special skills also, like intelligence or sexual appeal, or maybe that's not a skill, but I don't know, or other things that they seem to value anyways. And that was interesting. And there was this dichotomy. Some people seem to think that it needs to be something that is for good or something positive. One example was that ex-president Trump is charismatic, and somebody yelled, "No, he's not." And then there was a conversation about that. Should all populist politicians be charismatic in order to be able to be in that role? And I think yes. But that's interesting that you say that it's in everybody.
That's a viewpoint, because there's also the
very good one.
viewpoint that only some extraordinary people with extraordinary energy can be charismatic. What I liked, some qualities of charisma, and now I just it's 10 years ago when I was in ISLO. Now I got again together with these qualities, and why Islo and why then this idea of charisma was born. I have to say, because just listen the qualities. It's a clarity, it's creativity, imagination, kindness, generosity, that inspires, and it's authenticity, and as a result, all of it, it's as grace, like you see, graceful person. So actually, what I now just told, these are qualities that actually I raised myself more and more being in a course of Islo. So yes, so it's just somatically, like naturally becoming more and more me, myself, authentic me, and this way more and more charismatic. It's kind of, it feels like too simple.
It makes sense when people are connecting to presence, and presence is one thing that somatics can develop.
Yeah.
I was also reading a bit about charisma, and there is some research which said that charisma is a set of non-verbal behaviors which we learn very early in life. And these behaviors, it's a lot about what Elina said, like about presence, about being like warm and kind, which is I think what Inese also mentioned, and some nonverbal behaviors that express power and confidence. So for me, this was very nice to read, because for me it means that in fact we can learn to be charismatic, even if we didn't succeed in childhood. There is still a chance. So do you agree with that? Do you think it's possible to learn to be charismatic, and maybe what kind of approach and methods could help?
I think you can improve in it, but I'm not absolutely sure. I think it's possible to learn. But is it? We had one interesting conversation about this with some people, and they created a connection to acting. A good actor could give a role with charismatic person, but that doesn't necessarily make the actor charismatic. It's a skill then, and if you are charismatic yourself, then it's not about acting. And I really don't know. I tend to often think, yeah, it could be or could not. But also one interesting thing was, I asked, one person said that, I am charismatic herself. And I think it was such a charismatic answer. And then the next sentence was, but I try not to be. Do you think it's possible so that I don't take space, or I try to hide my charisma? I don't know. Maybe you can learn it, and maybe you can hide it, but.
I was also thinking about this learning, how we learn, because when we are children, like you, Inese, told about this, when we are children, we learn from, for example, our parents, sisters, brothers, people around. So we don't learn like we write and then remember and then act and then act more to get it, but we just learn, oh, this person is acting like this person is showing up like this. And that's not only in childhood, we still continue to learn like this from the people around. So sometimes it's just being in a kind of right company for a good enough long time, and we may just learn from being there, just from being there with those people around. So becoming, not learning, yes, learning also, but becoming from inside just more charismatic, just more open, more
transformation somehow.
Yes. I also kind of was thinking about therapy sessions. Like I do body-oriented therapy, and I really feel like in some time people just become more of themselves, like more grounded, more connected, more confident, and it's already the base for opening up for my own charisma, like my own authenticity. Maybe it's a huge softness that I hide because I'm scared people will just kill me if I will be too soft. But then I become more confident with this and more safe, feeling safe, and I open up my softness, and my soft charisma is the thing that is appealing the others. It may be like this. You don't have to be just like I'm in the space now, see me. And so it can be very different.
I think so too, but that seemed to repeat very often. I agree completely that it can be very kind of modest also. And
yes.
But I'm curious, is it possible to turn your charisma off? What do you think?
Yes, I guess so.
How do you do that?
Very shameful, very guilty, very bad situation, and go with this attitude into people and say something.
You look very different when you say something.
Imagine.
Yeah. I was discussing also this question with some training group, like what is charisma and how can we become more charismatic? And yeah, people often say the charisma, it's some kind of shine. And sometimes maybe it's very simple, like Inese, you said after therapy session, maybe the person is kind of shining more. And I remember I was learning the face massage, and it's just a 15 minutes work and everyone is looking very shiny and charismatic. And yes, I guess it's also possible then to go to the opposite, to stop shining, and it's a kind of search of what makes us shining.
Hey, concerning this, I was also thinking, who is a popular, I don't know, image person or someone who is definitely not charismatic. Do you have some idea?
It would sound a bit mean to say anything. It seems that I value charisma somehow.
I was just thinking, and then I realized Mr. Bean. Yes.
Mr. Bean, isn't he charismatic?
I mean, the role of real Mr. Bean, how he thinks, how he acts. I thought, okay, this could be my opposite, for me at least, the opposite way of charismatic people. Yeah.
Interesting thing to think that. Okay, I want to ask something related to what Elina said, because you said you were discussing if a person needs to be charismatic to go in politics. And I very often hear that people say the good leader or good facilitator or good trainer has to be charismatic, is kind of expected, that you go somewhere and the person who will be in front of the group, of course, is somehow very special. So my question is, do you think a person can be a good facilitator or a team leader or a organization or company leader without being charismatic?
Yes.
And what's maybe the qualities that should be then cultivated to compensate lack of it?
Okay, to make it more interesting, if Elina told yes, I say no.
Okay. Do you want to start or do I?
Start you.
If there is enough knowledge and communication skills that maybe I wouldn't label with charisma. I think they still can be. If people are rational enough, they can follow non-charismatic leader or a team leader. And what I think, you cannot be populist party politician without being on a chairman, for example, without charisma, because charisma gives you so much benefit that in human interpretation often is more important than for example knowledge, which might be in politics a good thing. I would believe, but yeah. And no,
Well, it was a good point from your side. I was like, why no? Because facilitating it was just one thing was about how we define what is charisma, and then up to
sure.
it can be different. This is one thing, but if to take the same qualities, like how would they be, like grace, authenticity, clarity, creativity, imagination, kindness, generosity, when we are not just teaching but facilitating people, it's a different way of how to give the possibility for people to learn. And it's about leading a group of people. And somehow I cannot just imagine a person, for example, without creativity, like, oh, we have gone to this process and I don't know what to do next. We really need the confidence and creativity, maybe something even more, for moving forward with the group. If I'm a teacher, I just have some points, I can teach, I can tell people, that's it, enough. But this facilitation, somehow I connected to leading the group towards the goal to learn something. And I somehow, yes, that's my no. I somehow don't believe that people can facilitate without at least a bit of charisma, knowing that I am at least a bit charismatic.
You mentioned without creativity. I think with creativity can do a little bit of job of charisma also.
Job?
Many people, I mean that I don't think it necessarily it's not necessary that there is charisma. There can be creativity, knowledge, and experience also, maybe. But of course it helps. Sure, that is much easier.
Yeah.
I think there are many people who would like to be more charismatic, but then there are some risks related to charismatic people. That, for example, the form is more important than the content, and we can easily follow to somebody who is not willing as good, in fact. And I was wondering how this works in the groups, because when you work with the group, it's very likely that there will be some very charismatic people, and the others will give them all the space, and sometimes maybe there can be even some clash between the leader and this participant, and so on. And at the same time, the people who are maybe not so charismatic, they can have great ideas and great knowledge which should be expressed. So do you somehow think about this topic when you work with the groups? Do you address it somehow? Or maybe you have some practices how to make those less visible people to stand out and shine more?
That's a big part of facilitation, to support space for everybody. And sometimes maybe I do more like that if there is somebody who clearly is charismatic, that pointed out that watch out so that you don't become a cult leader or something, because it seems that people are following you so easy. So if it looks like that, it can be mentioned, because when there starts to be these looks that, you just went to my heart right away and you know me already. Charismatic people often use that kind of language so that it is very easy to relate no matter who you are. You can think about somebody who's reading tarot cards or mentalists, or they are not same category. I'm not taking any part of any of these, what I'm saying, but I'm that the language can be part of the thing, and charismatic people are often very good with language so that they can make other people to believe that they know me already, that I'm met as a whole person. And it can be good thing, it can be terribly dangerous thing also. And I kind of want to put it out, if it starts to be that many people say that, oh.
Yeah, Elina was really telling about charismatic participants of the group. But it may also be like, oh, this is charismatic person, but maybe they are just expansive people. Maybe they just speak more, and maybe they speak because they are stressful. And sometimes it's not about charisma, it's more about grounding the person. And yeah, so I just like that Elina took this charismatic person's viewpoint, as it may,
I think that is different. Yeah.
Yes, it may be just confused. This is what I wanted to say.
Yeah. And it might be that the person has not been taking any space, but when there is leading situation, then people are following. And I was talking about that kind of people. What I want to ask further questions by people who maybe don't take space or don't, and how to let to kind of fish signing also. That is possible, I think, by letting people to see what maybe a shy person wants to hide, or kind of seem to hope that it's somebody sees it, but don't dare to show.
Sometimes completely technical thing is just not to, instead of sharing in a whole group, just share in couple, then in two couples, and then in a big group. So that's the way how sometimes these shy people can express themselves, and then express again, and then express in a big space. And it's much more easier than right away have all the auditory around and like I have to speak. Just a little small technical detail how it goes well.
Also, it can be. No, go ahead.
For me personally, it's also very important as a facilitator and also as a participant that there is this balance between giving and taking space. I always say it to people, to be honest, I don't know how I can practically help them to learn it, because it's a lot about self-awareness, and some people care about it, some don't care about it, some don't want to be visible, and maybe from your side there are some more very practical tips and tricks how we can have this more balance between taking and giving space.
Now I remember what I was thinking about. It's that I have heard by people that it was nice that you forced me to, that it was kind of demanded that everybody says. But that's a thin line between too much pushing or kind of demanding, because volunteering might be too difficult. But mostly I believe in volunteering, but sometimes it can be also one tip.
Lost my sentence. No, lost it.
Lost it. So that when I recognize that that person sees that person's charisma, I also try to set situations where other people can support this process of blossoming charisma. If I now go to your way of growing charisma, which is a very nice approach to, different from many people that I interviewed. I have one question, may I ask? Because I was talking with one psychologist. She said that, of course, I am interested in charisma. Most psychologists are. And this is because it's a little bit difficult to define. What do you say about this comment as a psychologist?
Yeah, it's a little bit difficult to define because there are different definitions, and also it may really be in the first moment it may seem like the person is charismatic, and then you see, oh no, this is not real charisma, it's just good skills, for example. And who hides who hides behind these skills, and how to grow the authentic charisma, if I answered you.
Yeah.
I will ask maybe a bit trivial question, but this topic comes in my life somehow up again and again, and I have been speaking with my colleagues, and we have sometimes this observation that it seems that it's easier for men to be leader than women because of some kind of magical quality, which is not definitely creativity, but maybe something more of this like confidence or shine, or we don't know. And I have heard sometimes women saying that in a certain age you kind of become invisible, and nobody really wants kind of to see you and hear you. So what do you think about this? Is there some sense in it? And should we be afraid to become invisible, or should we try very much not to be invisible, and how to deal with this? Because like me personally, I'm scared of becoming invisible, and sometimes I think it's already happening, so it's not a great feeling.
Well, first moment for me was like big eyes, and what are you talking about? Which age? And then I somehow, yes, I was thinking, okay, in my 30s, I was like, wow, I'm a star and creating and so on. And now it's more getting into. Maybe that's the thing about. What do you say, Elina?
I have recognized situations where I have been totally invisible. Maybe some social situation where younger people seem to be more interested in younger people, which kind of makes sense. And on other situations, not at all. But one instinct that came to my mind, that yes, it's time to enjoy it also. That it's so super cool to be able to sometimes just see so much things, and it's kind of a show somehow. Also, there are lots of benefits. One middle-aged woman said that I can do anything. I can change my clothes in the beach, and nobody notices that I don't even go to the dressing. And it's funny. I think it's also terrible. Sometimes I recognize that the ideas are not met or heard. I hear these stories that it's that people get this kind of treatment kind of in the working place, or not easy to find a job if you want to change a job, or it depends on the charisma, I guess, a bit, that if you are being noticed still.
Yeah, I had the same words.
One 80-year-old dancer in Finland who seems to be in the magazines every day, and it's interesting.
Yeah, it's just sad that sometimes maybe we lose some good ideas because of, to be honest, maybe people are superficial sometimes. And I think, yeah, it's a beautiful gift if we as facilitators can help somebody to become more visible and, I don't know, able to take space and yeah, to be on the stage, and also to not only to be on the stage but really to be received by the audience. I was wondering if you maybe can suggest some very concrete exercise. What could help people who would like to develop this charisma in themselves? Yeah, like a little task or a little practice that could be helpful.
I go a little bit back to the earlier. That was sad. I heard a woman, 22-year-old woman, saying that can women be charismatic? That she completely thought that it's a male thing. And for her, I could maybe recommend to look videos where there might be charismatic women or men, and or any other genders, and to refresh their thinking about charisma, values, recognition, and then maybe that could open up something. Look around.
Learn from others. And well, about these little exercises, I imagine, for example, people standing and raising the chin a little bit and feeling what is down there in the heels. When you raise the chin, can you feel how your heels are getting more of your weight? And really feel this connection between chin up and more weight in the heels. That's not only chin up and go and you already be charismatic. It's also about raising the chin and be connected to the ground. This is something kind of little that we can practice if we wish. I was also thinking we can just think of the qualities of charisma and also embody. Like, for example, if I would say one of the qualities that is, for example, clarity. Imagine you yourself in situations when you were clear, really clear. When you remember, you already a little bit experience the same feeling. and let yourself up into this experience. Like, yes, I was clear then. I remember this feeling, and embodying like how I breathe, how my face is, how my body is when I remember this nice, great situation of being clear, for example, and then other qualities. For example, creativity, or this kindness, or generosity, or authenticity. Just really be with this quality, remember, embody, feel how you experience it. And it's already here, activated, let's say.
And I think also that to recognize what could be your charismatic features. You keep saying clear. What do you mean with this clarity?
Mm-hmm. Do you ask
that was a question. Yes, I'm asking. Because I have one example that I'm telling you after the answer.
Mm-hmm. Clear, like, for example, where I wish to be in this evening, tomorrow. Clear in the way how I am talking. Clear about my goals, what I want and what I don't want, and like this kind of clarity, I think.
Yes, like intentions. I know my intentions, and
yes.
Then there is one Finnish very legendary drummer who speaks in a way that it's really difficult to understand anything because of pronunciation, plus also the words. He sometimes seems to make up words by himself, and in English he couldn't really speak English, but I'm a road runny honey, like this kind of, it's a road runner would be the real thing, but he's such a charisma. Yeah, and it's so crazy. So, but his presence is very clear that I know my place and this is it. Yeah. So, intentional clarity, but it can be sure something also about speaking. Yes. To recognize own quality and being own presence fully.
Yeah,
recognizing moments. Ask feedback.
Yeah.
That sounds so uncharismatic thing to do, but it could help.
I was wondering how important is confidence. Just maybe it's just about not being afraid of other people, which sometimes can be very hard.
And you can also let yourself be afraid, but still remember that there's ground underneath.
Marilyn Monroe is mentioned to be one of the most charismatic women in the world history, and she was so unsure and so afraid of everybody, probably including herself. It's the combination of qualities that create something extra, maybe something uniqueness. What makes you you?
Yeah.
And how you let other people see it.
And stay with this you.
Like, or openly you hide it so that people can still detect it.
Yeah.
I can just suggest there is this book. It's called The Charisma Myths, and it's really about like how to be attractive and how to be like a magnet of attracting other people. And it's quite interesting because it's based on this idea that it's a lot about non-verbal communication, and there is a lot of practical exercises to try out. So it can be something to a bit experiment with and play with, because there are exercises about how to deal with discomfort when you are on a stage or when you are near the other people, or how to be more present. I think there is a bit of this like power positions which some people believe in and some people not believe so much, but it's based on this idea a lot that by changing what we do with our body, we can change how we feel and how we think about ourselves and how we are perceived. So this embodied way can be like a easy approach how to make changes very quickly and not so complicatedly. Is there something else, that you want to ask or
to
mention?
point out one that maybe not everybody
Mm.
don't even want to be charismatic. Maybe people want to be somehow observing and sight, and that's totally comfortable, and it would be terrible to be charismatic. I think that is very much like a possible option for some people.
Yeah. For
I
example,
want to point it out so that we don't sound that everybody wants to
Yeah.
be charismatic, because I don't believe everybody wants
and needs.
Yeah, what stick with me was one situation where I was also in a team and I was not. I decided not to take any space because there were people struggling all the time who will be the winner, and there was like, let's say, a conflict. And after that, I received a feedback that. Yeah, but you should speak because it was something in the mountains, and actually the team was endangering itself, and it's also sometimes it's just our responsibility not to want to be invisible. And
exactly.
yeah, this somehow stick with me because it's from one side, yes, definitely not everyone wants to be seen and not everyone wants all this attention and not everyone needs it, but on the other side there are the situations when we have to be, and like we are responsible about something, maybe what's happening around. And yeah, I don't know what I want to say with this. It's probably again about finding a good balance and understanding in which situation what is the most important.
I think it's also about being present, because if you're present and you feel like if I will not do anything, we all will die. Then I get to my confidence, get to my energy, and just say, "Let's go there," and we all survive. For example, it's also being present, being with myself in the group, in the circumstances, and feel what's going on actually.
And personally, I could say that as a facilitator, much bigger percentual part of my work is to get people to get involved and be present, and to convince people that not doing something is doing something. And that's a very common belief that I didn't do anything, for example, for a conflict. And the answer, yeah, exactly. So I think there is no right or wrong way, but it's what you said about balance and diversity is, and so that we can find a place that we can kind of fulfill without exhausting exhausting ourselves, and it's somewhat natural, but not just laying back. Growth also possible, and take responsibility, freedom, this kind of stuff. Charisma is just one feature of everything.
A combination of everything.
Oh yeah, it's somehow maybe lucky combination, or maybe a good cooking combination if you learn. When you learn, you convinced me.
Yeah, I think the good news is that it's possible to develop it if somebody wants. There are some options, some practices, some ideas. So we can see how to deal with this topic in our life, and also when we are facilitators, maybe sometimes how to deal with too much charisma, and to find this balance in the group. Is there something else that you want to ask about charisma or mention about it? Or what's the most interesting thing?
One thing came to my mind: in Western cultures, charisma maybe is a bit because of individualism as certain value. It's maybe a little bit trendy nowadays that there is personal. But if there is more community kind of culture, that is maybe not so much noticed feature. I don't know. This is based on nothing. It just came to my mind that it can be that our time is feeding charisma to be a good thing in this part of the world.
And remembering some minutes ago that we were talking about, I just remembered one book about animals, different kind of animals, and how they are living actually. And then I thought, naturally, a leader of the tribe becomes the charismatic animal. And so it doesn't mean that everybody has to be charismatic, like maximum charismatic. So this proportion actually naturally could be quite interesting. It's not like each of us also need to be very charismatic, I mean, to become a leader. Because if everyone will be a leader, who will be the led ones?
Maybe it can change from context to context.
Yes, that's a good point.
Often it does not, but it can.
Yeah,
Do you have something to add?
No, it comes back to, I really liked, Elina, one thing what you mentioned at the beginning, that if people are rational enough, they will accept leaders who are not charismatic because they see other value what this person can bring, which is maybe not some kind of personal shine or magnetism. So it's really like I think it's nice to learn to see the essence in the people, and on the on the other hand, it's also very nice to maybe to be in a group where there are. No, I will not continue that. It's just when we speak about this charisma, I all the time have in mind also one image of a woman who was an old woman, and she was a meditation teacher in one course I attended, and for me she was really charismatic because she was really shining. I don't know how, but she was, and that makes me conclude that maybe this charisma, it's also about like a peace, inner peace, which being in peace with what's happening around, and being like really like willing people good things and being kind. So it's I think the community, it's something that the community can benefit a lot. It doesn't mean that you need to be a leader. It's just about bringing something good and nice for the people, and it's about feeling good with who you are and being in peace. with the situation and everything.
Confident.
Something like that. Too many interpretations I think there are of what charisma can be and how each of us understand it. It's a nice part of moving into soft skills. I think that we give a permission for everyone to build up their own theories and find out what works for them, and then experiment through these different practices of how we can like become who we want to be or how we want to be. So yes, I think I will tell you thank you for the conversation.
Thank you.
Thank you.
There are some more podcast episodes of moving into soft skills coming up with different team members, and yeah, we will try to share some more of our experiences and observations and tips and tricks in facilitation, and also in relation to soft skills, to somatics, and just being content in life. So see you in the next episode.